all you fans, The Haunting of Molly Hartley, it has a sequel. We are talking about the Exorcism of Molly Hartley. Now, before you turn this video, think, it's a sequel, I'm not interested. I didn't even realise this movie was a sequel until about halfway through, because it does kind of stand on its own, so you can watch it as a separate entity. It does somewhat call back to the original movie, which came out in 2008. But the actual Molly Hartley character is actually played by a different actress, so it's kind of a little bit dissociative anyway. And it more or less kind of stands on its own two feet. It's kind of its own story. This one is directed by Stephen R. Monroe and really focuses on a priest who has been disgraced. He's called to deaths of people during an exorcism at the beginning of the movie, and he's basically being held in a kind of psychiatric hospital. And it just so happens he's the only person in America who's actually performed an exorcism, and it just so happens that this girl gets possessed, Molly gets possessed by a demon and is sent to this very same facility. What are the chances? Anyway, of course, really this priest has to kind of, try and kind of regain his faith and his honour, basically, and trying to kind of face down this demon that's possessing poor old Molly in a kind of classic showdown. So that's pretty much the movie. I won't go too much into that, so let's talk about some of the positives and negatives. Although I feel this film is kind of dead in the middle. It's really a kind of a serviceable film, but doesn't really stand out in any way, both in a positive and negative. I will say it turned into a bit more of an action film in the kind of the third act. So it goes less horror. This film is never scary. There's never really kind of any scary moments here. But it's all done fairly slickly. I think the special effects, are of a good standard. The makeup's all quite good. There's plenty of kind of vomit. So it's taking lots of cues from obviously stuff like The Exorcist and stuff like that, and the kind of rash of sort of exorcism and possession films that we've had. But never kind of really rises above it. It doesn't exactly have a twist, I would say, but it does go in a slightly different direction towards the end, which I kind of liked. So to go through I will say some kind of negatives and positives about it though. So like I said, in the positives first, I think the look of this film is very good. It has that polished, sort of higher production value to it. So again, the effects look quite good when we actually see some of the possession scenes and stuff like that. They all look at a good standard. The makeup looks kind of good. One thing I did quite like is the back and forth between the priest certainly and the possessed Molly. And what I quite like about this one is they actually have some sort of conversations. And a lot of these sort of films, the possessed person is just kind of shouting and saying profanities and stuff like that. But I kind of like they actually have a little bit of kind of dialogue between them. And I have to say, just on a kind of a complete side note here, I would be totally wanting to see what the devil's end game was. I mean, what do you actually intend to do with a person? What is your end game? What is the point of possessing someone? What are you actually going to do with them? I don't see why you would bother. Anyway, that would be my question. So, I quite like that. I thought the acting was all okay here. I think the priest was kind of an interesting character. I kind of like the semi-twist that it has on there, and I quite like there's kind of a second female lead, who is kind of like administrator of this kind of hospital, and I quite liked her character as well. I thought she was quite sort of well written and well acted and stuff. In regards to the negatives here, the main one here, I think the main character of Molly, well, she's not really the priest, the main character, but her name's on the box, so she's kind of unlikable. I guess because she's had another movie. And this is one of the downsides of it being a sequel, is that she doesn't really get any characterization, and the bit we do get, she just seems like a complete slut. First time we see it, she's taking drugs, she's having threesomes, she's just being a bit of an asshole to people. She kind of ditches her friends. So she's not a particularly a likeable character to begin with. And that's literally all we're through. She's all smug. Hey, I've made partner at 24. Check me out or whatever. It's like, whatever. So she's not a particularly likeable character. But we barely sort of see her normally before she's kind of possessed. We don't really get to know anything other than that. So bit of a negative. But like I said, it's just the other thing is, it's just nothing here is outstanding. There's nothing to think, wow, that's totally a memorable film. This possession film was totally better than this one because of that reason. It's not. It's just okay. It's just a kind of run of the mill standard possession film. But fairly well polished and kind of well made. So I'm going to give this movie a 5.5 out of 10. If you like your possession films, you may want to check this one out, because it's certainly not a bad job. Let me know if you've seen it and what do you think of it. Leave a comment and I will look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.